Good afternoon, everyone. So, today we are going to discuss regarding your prelims test series. So, how many of you are writing 2026? So, first let us discuss what is needed for prelims. So, which is the toughest phase of the exam right now? Huh? Prelims or mains? Prelims is the toughest right now. Okay. Previously that was not the case, but right now you can say prelims to large extent because of the variations that UPSC is giving. Then along with that, the CSAT difficulty. These two are a combination for the difficulty that has increased with respect to prelims. Prelims is an elimination paper. Okay. So what you have to understand is you are not expected to score, too high marks here. What is your target here? You are writing forest service, that is a different scenario, but still we are focusing only on civil services. Your target is to clear the cutoffs. What are the cutoffs? Any idea? What is the range of the cutoffs? 2024, what is the cutoff? 2024, it was around 88, 87.7 or something. So 88 you can see. Before that, what was the cutoff? 73 was the cutoff.
Internet.
So this year's
నెట్ ఉందా వైఫై
శామిల్ ఒకసారి రాదని చెప్పు క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ చేసి
around 95%.
మళ్ళా క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ అని చెప్పి
వస్తుంది నాది కూడా యాడ్ చేస్తాను థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్ వచ్చింది పర్లేదు సార్ ఇందులో ఉంది ఇలా పంపించుకుంటాను
You are not putting any negative.
ఒకటే సార్
Obviously, you will make mistakes. Your accuracy is to large extent. Your target
సార్ ఇంటర్నెట్
is the basic
సార్ నెట్ ఉందా వైఫై
శామిల్ ఒకసారి రాదని చెప్పు క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ చేసి
20 to 25 questions wrong.
పర్లేదు సార్ ఇందులో ఉంది ఇలా పంపించుకుంటాను
Okay. So please understand. But you also need to understand to gauge what is the difficulty of the paper. Compared to previous years, what is the difficulty? Based
సరే
on that,
వినిపిస్తుంది ఐడియా
understand whether
వినిపిస్తుంది కదా
increase or
వాళ్ళకి రికార్డింగ్లో హలో హలో
why we need to get this. This is basically going to determine how many questions you are going to attempt. Okay. Whether you have the cutoff is going to go beyond 100. Previously we have seen cutoffs hovering around 115, 110 to 150.
సార్ అందరూ గ్రూప్ 1 మెయిన్స్
90 questions at least. Depending on the difficulty of the paper, you should be able to gauge how many number of questions that you
అందరూ గ్రూప్ 1 మెయిన్
clear basic idea. How will you get
అందరూ
this?
గ్రూప్ 1 మెయిన్స్ ఏనా
How will you gauge that difficulty?
ఏపీ అండ్ తెలంగాణ మీరు సార్
Just by your intuition.
కానీ తక్కువ ఇస్తారు మొన్న కూడా ఇచ్చారు సార్.
Intuition తోనే పెట్టేస్తారా? So what we do is generally
10 మార్కులకు
every paper minimum to we will take 2 iterations.
అలా రాయించండి అంటే రాయించడం కంటే ఎక్కువగా నోట్స్ ఇస్తాను.
What do I mean by iterations? Each iteration is you are going to 1 to 100 questions that are going to second iteration. Minimum 2 iterations. But why first time okay, you are saying easy. Okay. So first iteration, the basic idea is you will not incorporate any case. Okay. First iteration should not incorporate any guessing. You are going to answer those questions which you are confident. Okay. These are confident questions. Okay. Then what is the link between this and your number of questions that you are going to attempt or the difficulty of the paper? Is there any link? Can I gauge the difficulty of the paper based on the number of questions that I am attempting in this first iteration? Okay. So if I am attempting only 30 to 35 questions or less than this, what will the paper difficulty be? The paper will be difficult. Okay. So what is this giving you? It is giving you a picture with respect to how many questions you have to attempt going forward. You will probably close it out to 75 to 80. Okay, depending on your risk taking. So, and moreover to the extent the practice that you are having, certain extent, you can take it up to 75 to 80 is the minimum that you have to do for any paper. Okay. If you are attempting more than 40, okay, the paper is to certain extent moderate, then you will go up to 85-90. If the paper is easy, you will be, you can say, anywhere between more than 45 to 50 or greater than 50. You can, there is no limit to how many questions you can attempt. It's up to you whether you are attempting 80, 95, whether you are attempting 91, 90, up to you, but at least 90 questions. Okay. Then there is also one more advantage if you are following this format. By doing, you can say, by not incorporating any guessing, what is it that you are going to, can say, understand by analyzing your mistakes? What is it that you are going to understand from this? You will attempt a test. First iteration, you are not incorporating any guessing. What is the takeaway? There will be some questions you will make mistake. What is the takeaway that you are going to take from these mistakes? That means your conceptual understandings are wrong, sir, with respect to those topics. Okay. Or to large extent, the memorization that you have done might probably not sufficient. Okay. The first iteration, this is also going to help you with respect to analysis as well. This is any wrongs that you are going. This is regarding your concepts or this is regarding your memory. So this you should be able to understand. Where I am going wrong, that is where you can incorporate corrections to your preparation. You are not looking at the, can say, overall scenario. You can say what type of mistakes I am making, how can I reduce the mistakes going forward. So these are going to come from your first iteration to a large extent. Then second iteration, so one thing you have to understand is during the first iteration, you will leave as much information on the paper as possible. So for example, there are 3 statements. You have to underline the keywords that are in there in the question. The first iteration when you are reading 1 to 100. Okay. Then first statement, you know it is correct, put a tick mark. Second statement, you know it is wrong, put a 2 mark. Third statement, you don't know what it is, you are doubtful. You can eliminate the options below as well. A, B, C, D, 2 options will go at least. Sometimes you will get the answer as well. If you are lucky, you can put the answer. But if you are confused between 2 options, then second iteration will not get enough time to go through the entire question once. So in the first iteration itself, you should leave this information on the paper, so that whenever you are reading the question once again, what is it that you are going to do? You are going to look at only the third statement and you are going to decide whether it is right or wrong. Okay, so generally what happens, whenever you are writing the test, the first iteration can take anywhere between 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes, depending on person to person, sometimes even 1.5 hours as well. But in the exam, you have to take into account additional time, because UPSC will always give you surprises. So that surprise might bog you down for the first 5 to 10 minutes. So your first iteration might drag to 1 or 30 minutes as well. This year the paper was little lengthy. Paper was easy, but paper was little lengthy. So people felt to a certain extent they had to give more time to the first iteration. They did not have sufficient time to do the second iteration properly. Clear? So this comes with practice only. So you have to, whenever you are attempting your papers, make sure that you are segregating your first iteration attempts separately and segregate your second iteration or third iteration separately, so that you can get analysis out of this thing. And during the second iteration as well, your choice has to be, you can say, if you are able to bring it down, your probability between two options. So 50-50, you have the probability first attempt those things. Okay, then go with, to certain extent, certain elimination perspectives you will have. Okay. Those you can incorporate some. Then the least case scenario is your single option questions. You will have A, B, C, D itself. Straightforwardly, they will give you the answers. If you don't know anything about these things, you cannot do anything. So no need to attempt these type of questions. You should be able to leave this thing. Okay. Which questions to attempt, which questions to leave. This is also very important when it comes to clearing your prelims. Clear? Overview to certain extent. So basically, generally people do 2 iterations. Some people will do 3 iterations as well. Okay. So second iteration to third iteration, the difference is going to be what type of risk you are taking. Second iteration, to a large extent, you will be addressing all the 50-50 options. Then third iteration, you will take a little more risk. But you should be able to understand which question to take risk, which to take. Clear? So basic idea. Okay. So your target should be at least you are getting cumulatively 55 to 60 questions correct, and at least you can have 20 to 25 wrongs. So this is in an average scenario. So that means you are attempting close to 85 questions. So make sure that you have this perspective in mind. So depending on the number of attempts you are making in the first iteration, the difficulty of the paper can be gauged. Don't think that for me only the paper is difficult, for others it is going to be less difficult. Don't think that way. Make sure that depending on how many attempts you are giving, yes, we can understand you will not have the complete knowledge right now, but at least try to incorporate this to a certain extent, so that this gets right respect your writing your yes. Yeah. Then let's come back to strategy with respect to prelims. We are talking about GS. Okay. So what is it that we have to prepare to clear prelims? Okay, current affairs. So how many of you have seen the paper, 2025 paper? What is the takeaway from the 2025 paper? Huh? Huh. Okay, you are saying current affairs will be around 15 questions. Okay. Polity, okay. This is your current affairs. Polity, history, geography, economy, science and tech, and environment. So if you look at prelims on an average, your geography and history, these are the 2 subjects where we see variation of question. Every year there is certain variations with it. But if you look at polity, 14 to 18 questions on a regular basis, there is no much deviations there. Even with respect to economy, the same scenario. Even with respect to environment. Environment previously, probably 2018-19, we used to get much more questions, but right now the amount of environment questions have come down to a certain extent. So anywhere between 14 to 16 you can expect from environment. Even with respect to science and tech, around 12 questions you can expect from science and tech. Okay, but with respect to geography and history, Sometimes you see, you can say history, more than 20 questions they have asked. Geography 2024 they have asked close to 18 questions, but 2024 history questions are very less than 10. So this variation is going to be there with respect to your subjects, especially your geography and history. Okay, but if you look at the scenarios, geography, history, polity and economy are your core subjects. Even environment and science and tech are also core, but the amount of, you can say, variability with respect to the questions and what type of aspects they are going to ask, there you will find difficulties regarding science and tech, regarding environment. So regarding environment, it can be regarding species, so you might find difficulty. Regarding to certain extent your wildlife sanctuaries or to certain extent national parks, if they are asking that, you might face certain difficulties. Regarding science and tech, if they are getting into basics, pure basics. So last year you see there was a, I think 2024 there was one question regarding blood vessels, which gas is used, or you can say is the reason for the dilation of your blood vessels. They have given nitric oxide, nitric dioxide, pentoxide and various other things they have given. So these are the things where you might face the difficulty. But with respect to polity, history, geography, economy, these are going to be mostly straightforward from your static portions, or they are going to be application of your static portion. Okay, so what is the key? Key is to make sure that you are thorough with respect to your basics. Okay, key is you have to be thorough with respect to your basics. So what are these basics? Where will you get these basics from? You'll have your NCERTs plus your one standard book and PYQs. Are there any repetitions of PYQs this year, 2025? History, there were three repetitions, PYQs. Economy also there was one regarding your, you can say, petroleum and natural gas regulatory board. Okay. Make sure that you are very good with respect to your PYQs. Moreover, what is the use of PYQs? Your PYQs will also let you know what information that you have to focus. Whenever you are reading your static portions, what is the information that you have to remember from the exam perspective, your PYQs will let you know. PYQs will have two advantages. They will let you know what is the importance of the various themes that are there with respect to each subject. Then they will also let you know what type of information UPSC is picking up, or what type of information UPSC is emphasizing. So even there are certain topics where you will not have questions, but once you get the understanding of your PYQs, you will be able to pick up certain, you can say, what type of information I have to remember from the exam perspective. Okay, so make sure that your PYQs, it should not be seen from the perspective of whether I am able to solve it or not. You should try to imbibe your PYQs so that you are understanding what are the various micro themes that UPSC is emphasizing, and you are also able to understand what type of, you can say, questions or what type of information UPSC is emphasizing. Clear? Okay. So the core funda right now is basics. If you are able to, you can say, do well with respect to your basics, you will be able to clear this exam. Why we are saying this? Any of you has doubts with respect to, you can say, concerns? Even if you have basics, we need much more. So there is a lot of, we can say, information with respect to your prelims strategies. They are giving you a lot of techniques. They are giving you, can say, PYQs. This you have to prepare, that you have to prepare. There are so many, can say, notes that are being pushed. Okay. Multiple things are there. There is a lot of information overload right now regarding your prelims preparation right now. But what is the basic thing that is going to deliver you results? The basic thing that is going to deliver you results is revision. Okay. If you are able to revise your basics properly, at least 2 or 3 revisions before you go to the exam, then you will be able to clear this. Okay. Why we are saying this? We are saying this based on, you can say, the previous year papers itself. So if you look at 2025, your basics questions, these are around 58. 2024, these are around 52. Okay. So previously we have done the analysis. How many questions you need? How many correct answers you need? 55 to 60 at least. Okay. So are you getting those here? Yes, the basic key is your basics. If you are good with respect to your basics, you should be able to maintain 90% accuracy here with respect. If you are struggling with respect to those things, then you will always struggle to clear prelims. Prelims always becomes dicey for you. One year you might clear, next year there is no guarantee that you will clear. Okay. If you want to be thorough with respect to, you can say, or be ready with respect to your prelims preparation, right now is the time. Don't waste your time right now. Make sure that you are thorough with respect to your. Okay. Once you lay the foundation here with respect to your first attempt, this is going to help you with respect to your rest of your attempts. You don't have to, you can say, put a lot of effort with respect to prelims. For exam, you can put probably 3 months focused preparation, revising these things again, and you will clear the exam regularly. Then you can focus with respect to, you can say, what improvements you can make with respect to mains and various other aspects. Clear? Basic aspects. So if the present test series funda is also same, is focusing on your basics, it is emphasizing 3 revisions. Okay. If you look at the schedule, first phase you will have, you can say, 17 weeks. So within this you have polity 3 weeks, history 4 weeks, economy 3 weeks, geography 3 weeks, environment and science and tech, these are 2 weeks each. Okay. So this you might feel, okay, little rushed can be from that perspective for you, but to a certain extent there is no other choice for you. This schedule is going up to your prelims exam, the week before your prelims exam. Okay. So the first phase, what we are going to do is we are going to give you 17 weeks, cover your basic aspect. So majority of the topics you will get 3 weeks. For history you will get 4, but with respect to environment and science and tech you will get 2 weeks. Okay. One idea here is with respect to each week you will have proper targets. Okay. Within the week itself you will have micro tests. These micro tests, these are focused with respect to, one is they will give you targets, other is with respect to, you can say, the day-to-day preparation, whether you are able to, you can say, maintain it or not. The consistency aspect it is going to ensure. Then it is also going to include PYQs depending on the topics that are given to you. So we will try to incorporate PYQs. At least 5 PYQs we will try to incorporate in this. Yes. Okay. So your PYQ revision also will be ensured, and moreover to certain extent your consistency with respect to your preparation is also good with respect to these micro topics, micro tests. Then at the weekend you will have the full length test. So in this we will incorporate current affairs. So if you look at your schedule, so current affairs is divided into 2 parts, part 1, part 2. So each week we will have 1 part. So current affairs we are preparing from April 2025 to March 20. 1 year's current affair we are going. Okay. Beyond that, not necessary. Okay. You are not here to score 160, 180. Make sure that you are good with respect to 1 year's current affairs, but that needs revision. Okay. Regular revision is necessary. So first week you will have polity, governance, international relations, economy and security. Second week you will have the rest of the topics, environment, science and tech, social issues, culture, various other aspects you will have with respect to second week. So each month current affairs is going to be taken across 2 weeks. Okay. So we will start with April month. April, first half of the current affairs will be done with respect to the first week. Second half will be done with respect to the second week. Similarly, we will go on May, June, July, August up to March 20. February and March you will not get much time, okay, because the current affairs materials also will be released a little later. So make sure we are going to give you 1 week there itself, but that is going to coincide with respect to your revision portions, so that you will be able to, you can say, pick up slack with respect to rest of the topics. Clear? Then at least every week you will have 25 questions from your current affairs. So 75 questions will be from your general topics, 25 questions will be from your current affairs. Clear so far? Then with respect to your second phase is your first revision. So here you are going to get 5 weeks. So each week you will cover polity 1 week, history 1 week, economy 1 week, and geography, environment, and science and tech. These are covered across 2 weeks. Okay. Geography, we have polity 1 week, history 1 week, economy 1 week. But geography, science and tech, and environment, these are going to be covered with respect to. Okay. After this, you are going to write your simulation tests. These are going to start with respect to your May. So you will write 8 tests. So here the gap will be every 2 days or 3 days you will be writing a simulation test. Okay. Whenever we are conducting, even with respect to these things, you will have micro tests. These are your, to make sure that you are not wasting your days. So every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you will have these micro tests. These micro tests are for 30 questions. Daily you will write 30 questions, half an hour. Half an hour ideally should have 25 questions, but you will be writing 30 questions. Initially, don't worry about the time, but at least as the time progresses, you have to ensure that time and make sure that you are getting used to that 2 iteration process. Depending if you are, you can say, good with respect to time management, you can also incorporate the 3rd iteration, but at least 2 iterations you have to do, so that analysis will be easier for you. Okay. Another important aspect that you have to maintain is your error books. So whatever tests that you are writing, you will not get the chance to revise these tests on a regular basis. What you have to do, whatever errors you are making in this test, make sure that you are writing these errors with respect to a particular notebook. Either you can maintain it digitally or you can maintain it, but make sure that you are writing these errors so that you will revise these errors. Once you are revising these errors, you will not try to repeat the same mistake. What we have said previously, first iteration, if you are making mistakes, these are your conceptual errors. You have to correct your conceptual understandings, or your memory might be a little fuzzy. So make sure that you are revising those topics once again. Okay. So this error book helps you in doing those things. Whatever issues that you are facing with respect to your, let's say, particular concepts, or whether it is with respect to particular topics, you will try to incorporate them with respect. Okay. So if you want to clear prelims, make sure that you have to, let's say, get used to certain habits. One is basic consistency, then with respect to your basic discipline, to ensure that you are maintaining certain good habits. Clear so far? Okay. So right now we'll see your 2025 paper. So all the questions that have been highlighted, these are your basic questions. Okay. So if you look at the first question, so many of you, okay, majority of you might have not covered all the topics, but at least understand these are very straightforward basic questions. Okay. Or to certain extent, you might see 1 or 2 statements otherwise, but on, let's say, on the basis of your basics itself, you will be able to answer. Okay. The first question, with reference to investments, consider the following: bonds, hedge funds, stocks, venture capital. So these are the 4 options they have given you, and they are asking you which of the above following are considered as alternative investment funds. This is the basic terminology that you are going to learn with respect to your financial markets. Okay. Alternative investment funds, your bonds and stocks, they don't come under alternative investment funds. Your hedge funds or venture capital, they are going to come. Even within this alternate investment funds, you have different categories, category 1 and category 2. That also you need to understand. Your venture capital comes under your category 1, and your hedge funds come under alternate investment funds category 2. Okay. So this is a basic question that you will read. Any textbook will have this thing. Okay. Then second one, this is regarding RBI. What is the source of income for RBI? Okay. So if you look at the statements, buying and selling government bonds, yes, RBI is the one who is issuing on behalf of the government. So buying and selling foreign currency, yes. Okay. Pension fund management, no. Pension fund management, RBI does not do. Okay. LIC and various other companies are there regarding pension funds. Okay. Then lending to private companies, there is no direct lending from RBI. RBI is the banker of the, you can say, government only. There is no direct lending from the RBI to the banks. Certain small instruments are there. These are to maintain your liquidity itself. These are not from the long-term perspective. Okay. Printing and distributing currency notes, yes, is the signage. This is also one of the major aspects through which RBI is earning money. Straightforward, any textbook will have this. Then, okay, this we can understand. Okay. So they are giving you can say information, and they are asking you to certain extent what are the functions and what are the you can say departments or ministries under which they function. So where one funda, you can always doubt there is a ministry. Okay. So if the can say questions can be regarding schemes, scheme is implemented by so and so ministry. So UPSC always tries to you can say manipulate the ministry. UPSC will always try to manipulate the data. Years, not concretely we can say that UPSC will always manipulate years. That we cannot say concretely, but at least with respect to ministries or departments, or whether it is with respect to data, UPSC will try to manipulate this. So this is one aspect where your elimination will come into picture. If you are not very sure, then you can try to you can say second guess it to a certain extent. But second guessing also you should be able to control it. Everywhere if you are bringing second guessing, then that is also going to be a problem. Okay. You should understand where you have to be confident or where you have to be a little skeptical with respect to whatever the information. Clear? Otherwise, to a certain extent what happens, overthinking will come into picture. Whatever answer you are giving in the first instance, you will change those things whenever you are marking your OMRs. So that will make sure that you are making a lot of mistakes. Okay. So if you are someone who is having the tendency that you will overthink everything, so you should get used to a certain extent, you can say curtailing your thinking process. Okay. So that to what extent I can link certain things, to what extent I should not take your linkages. That perspective you need to be able to understand. Okay. Next, if you look at the fourth question, so this also we'll consider it as basics only to a certain extent, because the present scenario, recent books, they are always incorporating these perspectives. These are your you can say environment sustainability or governance reforms perspectives. So this is regarding reporting. So RBI mandates all the listed companies in India to submit a business sustainability you can say report responsibility. Is SEBI, and moreover all the listed companies will not be this burden. So this is a burden, additional burden. So what we are doing, we are trying to slowly incorporate these things. Okay. Basically, this is to ensure your sustainability. This is to ensure your proper corporate governance is there, and this is also to ensure that you can say that sustainability aspects are incorporated, green initiatives are. Okay. In India, a company submitting a BRSR makes disclosures in the report that are largely non-financial in nature. Yes, they are not purely financial in nature. These are not related to your you can say your profit and loss. These are mostly related to what type of initiatives of the government each company is taking. So straightforward question only. So next, to look at your seventh question. This is again also very straightforward question. This is regarding your bonds. So if you look at first statement, as regards to returns from an investment in a company, generally bondholders are considered to be relatively at a lower risk than stockholders. So this is the basic difference between your equity and your debt instruments itself. Debt is always paid first. So if any company is getting liquidated, who is going to get paid first? The debtors are going to be paid first, or creditors, you can say creditors are going to be paid first. Okay. So in that scenario, the basic concept itself they are highlighting. Equity is going to give you the ownership. Whatever is going to be remaining after paying all your you can say liabilities, anything remains, then you will get the money. Okay, if you are a shareholder, otherwise you will not see the money. Okay. Then what is the advantage with respect to equity? The flip around is, if the company is doing well, the profits you will be getting a share if you are a shareholder. But bondholders, they will be given only fixed return. It can be 6%, 7%, or 9% depending on the company. So that return is going to be fixed. Okay. Second statement, bondholders are lenders to a company, whereas stockholders are its owners. Straightforward statement. Third statement, for repayment purpose, bondholders are prioritized over stockholders by a company. Yes, as I have told you, during the liquidation process, the creditors of the company are going to be paid first. Once these are done, then only we will look at preferential shareholders, then we will see the normal shareholders. Okay. So this is the norm that we have established. Okay. So third statement is also correct. This is, every book will have these things. Okay. Whenever you are reading about bonds, you also need to understand your bond yield and various other aspects. Inflation, what is the impact on your bond holders? Inflation, what is the impact on bond sellers and holders? Those perspectives also have been asked previously. Straightforward question only. The next ninth one, this is also basic concept itself. This is talking about circular economy. Circular economy, what is the idea of circular economy? So it is basically reducing the resources that we are going to use, so that whatever wastage that, or can say once the product life is done, we are trying to recover various materials from these things and we are incorporating this in the further production. So this is a circular economy where we are emphasizing reuse, repurpose, reproduce, all these things we are focusing there. Circular economy reduces emissions of greenhouse gases. Yes, we don't need, you can say, extra resources. Mining can be reduced to certain extent. Circular economy reduces the use of raw materials as inputs. Yes, we'll need less raw materials. Circular economy reduces wastage in the production process. Straightforward. Yes, basic question. Next, look at the 10th one. Again, this is also a very basic question. Capital receipts create a liability or cause a reduction in the assets of the government. Okay, this is capital receipts. That means government is receiving the money. Okay, where will I get the capital receipts from? One can be through borrowings, or one can be through sale of government assets, your disinvestment. Right now, government is a shareholder with respect to majority of the PSUs. I can sell 10% of the shares with respect to any PSU. I can earn money. So this is what is your capital receipt. At the same time, I can also borrow. Any loan that I am taking, is it a liability or is it an asset? It's a liability because I have to repay it back. So your first statement is correct. Capital receipts create a liability or cause a reduction in the assets of the government. Second statement, borrowings and disinvestment are capital receipts. Capital receipts will have incoming money from whether you are selling your assets or whether you are taking loan, both. Third statement, interest received on loans create a liability of the government. Read the statement properly. It is not interest owed, it is interest received. Interest received is an asset now. Moreover, to a certain extent, this interest is going to be counted with respect to your revenue or revenue receipts rather than your capital receipts. Any repayment of loan will be considered as your capital receipt, but any payment of revenue interest is considered as your revenue receipt. So the third statement is wrong. Again, basic. Okay. So next, with respect to your history, modern history, Raja Ram Mohan Rai, he possessed great love and respect for traditional philosophical systems of the East. So Raja Ram Mohan, if you read, he has respect for both Eastern and Western religious aspects to a certain extent. So he wants to bring in that rationality with respect to that Eastern can say philosophies, and whatever rationality that is incorporated in your Western philosophies, there he wants to bring. So this statement, yes, is there. He desired his countrymen to accept rational and scientific approach and principle of human dignity and social equality of all men and women. To read his, you can say, overall, you can say his contributions with respect to Renaissance, Indian Renaissance, you will understand to a certain extent he emphasized to a certain extent gender equality, or to a certain extent the rational approach with respect to the life itself. Both statements are correct. Straightforward, this you will see with respect to any basic book itself. Generally, we suggest spectrum with respect to your modern history. It is there with respect. Then with respect to non-cooperation movement, what are the various activities that have been done during the non-cooperation movement? Again, this is going to be there in any basic book. Okay. Read the statements. Boycott of law courts and foreign cloth, yes. Observance of strict non-violence, yes. Retention of titles and honors without using them in public. This was not during the non-cooperation movement, earlier. Okay. So here, let's say you are giving up, voluntary giving up of titles have been promoted. Establishment of panchayats for settling disputes. National, you can say education, or you can say indigenous industry, various other aspects have also been encouraged during your non-cooperation. Again, straightforward question. Any basic book will have this. Clear? So next, 13th is your PYQ. Straightforward, 2016 PYQ. They have repeated it. History and to certain extent environment. The scope for repetition of PYQs is very high. So history should be very thorough, especially regarding your ancient and medieval, your art and culture. Your PYQs should be, you can say, memorized, okay, because regular repetition of PYQs will be there. And then to certain extent, this is also there in your NCERT. You have introduction to art. So 11th class NCERT will be there. Second, 12th class NCERT will be there. So this is there in your 11th class NCERT. To understand importance of, you can say, basic questions. We are, you can say, running behind, you can say, multiple aspects that can be asked from different perspectives. You will not be able to finish your preparation. At least make sure that you are good with respect to your basics. you will be able to clear this exam on a regular basis. Okay. So this one, Fahian, Chinese pilgrim traveled to India during the reign of Chandragupta II. Straightforward question. This is there with respect to your, you can say, 11th class NCRT, old NCRTs. Who among the following led the successful military campaign against kingdom of Srivijaya? So this is regarding your, you can say, your Cholas, imperial Cholas. Okay. So straightforward question only. This, okay, to certain extent you might not know the names of the rivers properly, the old names. So here Vipas is your Bias river. You might not know these things, but at least if you understand, your maps are there with respect to your NCRTs. So these are your Janapadas, Mahajanapadas. So once you understand where they are, at least based on their location, whether they are in the northwest corner, whether they are in central, can say, region, or whether they are on the eastern region, so you will have basic ideas. Moreover, to certain extent, Godavari, Mahanadi, Saryu, these rivers, so you will have certain basic ideas where they are. At least you will be able to match. For example, Cambodia, this is the northwest, the present day Pakistan and, can say, Afghanistan. So Vipas is your Bias river. You know that, then you will understand Bias to certain extent is present Punjab region. So this is not going to, you can say, be complementary. Then Avanti and Mahanadi. Avanti is in the central region, okay. Central west, you can say. Mahanadi is on the eastern side. So there is no correlation. Coastal lands are you, yes. First and fourth are correct. 2 and 3 are wrong. At least maps also is important when it comes to your history. They are asking this. So next, NATO. So I am marking it as a basic question itself, because these things you are expected to be ready. Okay, basic international relations, the organizations that are there, you have to be ready with respect to this. So he is asking you how many of the above are members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So if you can categorize it as current affairs, just to certain extent, because of the Russia-Ukraine war, NATO is always in use. So moreover, to certain extent, the Scandinavian countries, they are also joining NATO right now. Previously, they wanted to remain neutral because they did not want the hostility from the Russia, but right now they are joining NATO. So in that context also you can see, but at least it is a very basic question. Okay. Then this is also Andes. This is a basic mapping question, straightforward only. Once you understand what are the countries that are there with respect to your southern portions of your South America, sorry, the western portions of your South America, you will be able to answer this. Your Andes is following this western margins of the continent. Okay. So if you look at the options that have been given, Brazil in the eastern side and the central side. Then your Colombia, yes, is there in the northwest, yes. Your Paraguay is in the middle. Uruguay is on the. So you can remove Brazil and Paraguay. The rest of all countries will have your Andes. Okay, at least basic mapping. Okay. Then this also to certain extent, you can say they have previously given Lake Tanganyika with respect to your PYQ, but rest of them we don't know. These type of questions, yes, will be difficult to address these things unless and until you are very good with respect to your maps. The next 25, this is regarding continental drift. Basic evidences of your continental drift they are asking you. Okay. The zigzag shape is there. The first statement is mentioning that only. Second statement, gold deposits of Ghana. These are your placer deposits. Okay. Third statement regarding Gondwana system of sediments from India is known to have its counterpart in Sid, because all used to be, you can say, one single landmass. So straightforward question only, your NCRT, basic NCRT. Next 26th, the amount of dust particles in the atmosphere is more in the subtropical and temperate areas than in the equatorial and polar regions. Yes, to a large extent. Okay. So subtropical regions, you can say, we see less dust particles because there is a lot of, you can say, convection currents with respect to your tropical areas. This whatever pollution or dust that is there, this is going to be distributed. But with respect to your subtropical or temperate areas, we see high pressure zones, sinking air will be there, and moreover dry air will be there. So dry air to certain extent will have a lot of dust. So your first statement is correct, second statement, again basics. Okay. So this is an application of your basics. This you might not find with respect to your NCRTs, but this is an application of your basics. Okay. Then this is a regularly repeated question. What is the movement of your isotherms with respect to winter, with respect to summer, regarding continents and regarding oceans? Okay. Most of you know that continents get heated quickly. They become cool much quicker compared to your oceans. The reason is your, there's a difference with respect to specific heat. Same thing with respect to January, this is winter. So isotherms bend equatorward while crossing the land masses. Isotherms will be like this. Okay. So if this is your isotherms, they will be like this in your northern hemisphere. This is your landmass. These are your oceans. Again landmass. Again you will see. So this is your isotherm. For example, take this as 10-degree isotherm. During winter, your land will be much colder compared to your oceans. So that means at lower latitude itself, you will see that 10 degrees temperature. That means they are bending southwards towards the equator. As we cross over to the oceans, oceans are much warmer. So 10 degrees will be found higher latitude. So your isotherms are moving towards the poles. Okay. Basic ideas. Again, regularly asked question this one. Okay. Last year also, 2024 also, they have asked this question. Second statement in January, air over the oceans is warmer than over the land masses in the northern hemisphere. Straightforward guess. Okay. In January, air over the oceans is warmer than over the land masses in the northern hemisphere. But the only confusing thing is generally you associate this with land, but temperature or air is getting heated from the bottom itself. The air is in contact with respect to your, let's say, land, so your atmosphere is getting heated from the bottom. Your long wave radiation is what is heating your atmosphere. So straightforward only. Then this one also to certain extent application perspective, but at least based on elimination also you can address this. In the context of the effect of water on rocks, these are your karst topography. So where you are underground, you can say landforms. Chalk is known as very permeable rock, whereas clay is known as quite an impermeable or least permeable rock. Yes, because soil to certain extent or rocks to certain extent, they have pores. Depending on the size of these pores, you will address whether they are permeable or whether they are impermeable. Clay, the individual particles are very small. They don't have much space between each of the particles. So the impermeability is going to be there with respect to clay. But with respect to chalk, there to a certain extent, the porous aspect is much higher. So they will allow water to pass through them. First statement is correct. Chalk is porous, hence can absorb water. Straightforward. Clay is not at all porous. So this is always relative, not an absolute statement. Clay is relatively permeable. So this is an extreme statement. You can remove this. Again, basics only, or you can think of it as an application of your basics. Okay, clear? The next, the 29th. Without the atmosphere, temperature would be well below freezing point everywhere on the Earth's surface. This is basically your greenhouse effect. Okay. Heat absorbed and trapped by the atmosphere maintains our planet's average temperature. Yes. Atmosphere gases like carbon dioxide are particularly good at absorbing and trapping radiation. They are nothing but greenhouse gases. Again, basic concept. Yes. Next, 31. So this one to certain extent, these two you can think of it as basic questions. Regarding the cement manufacturing, you should have some basic ideas. What are the various raw materials? What is the process of cement manufacturing? You will understand. Okay. But first statement is the one where you might have the difficulty. But as I have told you previously, any data that is being given with respect to UPSC, you can doubt it. So first statement they are saying, studies indicate that carbon dioxide emissions from cement industry account for more than 5% of global carbon emissions. So your doubt can be, it can be less or it can be, even if you don't know anything, you can have a basic, you can say, question with respect to whether 5% is true or not. Okay, you can be skeptical regarding this. So read the second statements. Silica bearing clay is mixed with respect to limestone while manufacturing cement. Yes, limestone is converted into lime during clinker production for cement manufacturing. Ultimately, clinker is what is, you can say, ground down into your cement. So these two statements are basic process with respect to cement, okay, manufacturing. First statement, the only question is whether you are able to doubt this 5% or not, whether you are thinking this is correct or not. So at least you are coming down to 50-50. But based on the gut feeling, generally UPSC to a certain extent always manipulates the data. You can remove the first statement and you can go with respect to, you can say, I think it should not be more than. Okay. So more than to certain extent it is giving you a range. Okay. So at least you are on the higher side, if you feel it is on the higher side, then you can go with A. If you feel it is on the lower side, you can go with respect to your, you can say, one more advantage is there with respect to this. Both statement, if you look at the statements, statement 1 is irrelevant. If you read the question properly, statement 1 is always correct. Read the statements, both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and both of them explain statement 1. Both statement 2 and 3 are correct, but only one of them explains statement 1. Only one of the statements 2 or 3 correct, and that explains statement 1. Neither statement 1, 2 or 3 is correct. There is no regarding your statement 1 itself. Whether it is correct or not, there is no aspect here. So by answering your 2 and 3, you will be able to get the answer. Yeah, there is no need to worry about your first statement itself. Okay. Again, basic cement manufacturing, you will read with respect to either geography or whether it is the basic sciences. You will read. So next, regarding 33, this is to a certain extent you might feel this question is difficult, but you also know that Earth's axis is not a constant thing. Earth's axis is changing depending on the weight distribution that is there across the Earth. Weight distribution of the Earth is changing because of your global warming. So as the ice melts, weight distribution is going to change. Moreover, because of the centrifugal force, whatever excess water is there, they are going to come towards your equators. So obviously, if you read the statement, scientific studies suggest that shift is taking place in the Earth's rotation and axis. Yes. Okay. Again, if you read the statements, first statement is the given. You don't need to doubt it. Second statement, solar flares and associated coronal mass ejections bombarded the Earth's outer atmosphere with tremendous amount of energy. Yes, energy is going to be there, but to an extent your axis is not determined by the energy that is coming from the sun. Moreover, Earth has its own magnetic field. This magnetic field is what is protecting us from the energy that is coming from the sun. Okay. So second statement you can remove. Third statement is Earth's polar ice melts and the water tends to move towards equator, because this is because of the rotational motion of the Earth itself, because of centrifugal force. You will see generally we see bulge with respect to the equator. Same reason, water is going to move from poles towards your equator. Clear? Straightforward question only. No need to worry with respect to this question. Again, this is also regarding your environment, basic question. Paris Agreement, you will read with respect to environment. Article 6, you will read is regarding your cooperation between your developed countries and developing countries, especially regarding economics. How much money we have to give towards, or how can we help developing countries to adopt green technology. So first statement, Article 6 is frequently discussed in global discussions on sustainable development and climate change. Yes. Article 6 of the Paris Agreement sets out principles for carbon markets. Yes. Carbon markets, you will understand, because environment in the, you will understand this is basically a way where countries that are having high emissions, they can offset their emissions by, buying carbon credits from those countries or companies who are saving this carbon emission. Okay. For every 1 ton of CO2 that you are saving, you will be given a carbon credit. Carbon credit can be sold to some other person. Okay. Then Article 6 on climate change intends to promote inter-country non-market strategies to reach their climate targets. Yes, Article 6 is also talking about market mechanisms and non-market mechanisms for international cooperation. So both statements are correct. Okay. Straightforward question only. Any basic book will have these things. Again, this to a certain extent, some books will have these things, some books will not have. But at least whenever you are reading about, basic technologies, how can we reduce your, carbon emissions, CUCS technologies that we read about, carbon capture, and utilization technologies. So it can be used as a way of direct air capture. This is nothing but from the air itself, you are directly taking out the carbon. Okay. It can be used as a way of carbon sequestration. Sequestration is nothing but storing carbon. It can be a valuable approach for plastic production in food processing. This stored carbon can be utilized for producing various raw materials or used for finished products as well. In aviation, again, it can be used to create a synthetic fuel. Yes, possibility is there. So with respect to UPSC, you also need to understand possibilities. Don't think that I don't know this, so this is not possible. Okay. Always think, because your biofuels, how are they produced? They are produced either from the waste or they are produced from your hydrocarbons to a certain extent. So basic ideas you can have. Again, he is giving you your hydrocarbons are nothing but carbon and hydrogen. These are the chains. Okay. So he's saying that carbon, by combining with hydrogen, we are going to produce synthetic fuel. Possibility is there. Okay. Again, will you find this entirely in your books? Probably no, but at least direct air capture, you will understand what it is. So by understanding that, you can address this question. It's not going to be that difficult. The next, this one. Again, the first statement is giving you certain data. So here, first statement is going to matter. Whether it is correct or not, it is going to matter. So carbon dioxide emissions in India are less than 0.5 tons per capita. So whenever you are reading about carbon emissions, generally we see that India is the third largest carbon emitter, behind USA and China. But historical emissions, if you want to take into account, we are going to look at per capita emissions. Per capita emissions, still USA is the largest emitter. Then comes your, you can say, where rest of the, you can say, developed countries. Then comes India and China. China is much higher than India, but still India is right now catching up. So our carbon emissions are going to increase. Per capita carbon emissions are going to increase further. But right now they are at a lower aspects. But are they as low as 0.5 gigatons? No. They are around 2 tons, 2 gigatons, or 2 tons carbon dioxide per capita. The first statement, again data, you can doubt it. Okay. First statement is wrong here. In terms of CO2 emissions from fuel combustion, India ranks second in Asia Pacific. Yes, behind China. You can think India is the second one. Electricity and heat producers are the largest sources of CO2 emissions in India. Okay. So basic questions only. Then 40th, rainforests produce more oxygen than that produced by oceans. Oceans produce around close to 50%. Lot of, we can say, photosynthesis happens through your algae, so they produce lot of oxygen. First statement you can remove. Even if you don't know the first statement, keep it as a question mark. Then read the second statement. Marine phytoplankton and photosynthetic bacteria produce about 50% of the world's oxygen. Can statement 1 and statement 2 both go together? Can they both be correct? No. Only one has to be correct. Okay. Then read the third statement. Well oxygenated surface water contains several folds higher oxygen than in the atmospheric air. This dissolved oxygen that he is talking about, generally dissolved oxygen concentration is very less with respect to water compared to air. Okay. Here we have close to 21% with respect to oxygen, but with respect to water, it is much less. So third statement also you can remove. Either one is going to be correct or 2 is going to be correct. So if you are looking, 2 is the most plausible answer here. Moreover, that is also the basics. Moreover, with respect to your environment, they are also going to ask you which regions are more biodiverse, which regions are having a lot of biodiversity. They can give you estuaries, they can give you with respect to your mangroves, or they can give you coral reefs, or among them they can ask you arrange them with respect to their productivity. That also they can ask you. Okay. So you should be ready. Again, this is a basic one, straightforward basic question. Next, again, science and tech. This is also basic only. Basic types of vehicles. So right now we have ICE engines, internal combustion engines, or the alternatives. It can be hybrids or it can be. So if you look at the scenario, full battery electric vehicles, yes. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, yes. Fuel cell electric hybrid vehicles, yes. These are all alternative powertrain vehicles. Straightforward only. Then 42, this is regarding UAVs. UAVs you will study with respect to security or defense. All types of UAVs do vertical landing? No. There are multiple categories of UAVs. So even depending on the height with which they are going to go, we have male UAVs, hail UAVs. Okay. So they will not do vertical landing, all of them. Fixed wing UAVs are there, not rotor based UAVs. Fixed wing UAVs, they cannot do your vertical landing. All types of UAVs can do automated hovering. No. Okay. All types of UAVs can use battery only as a source of power. No. There are big UAVs. These are jet powered UAVs. Okay. So USA is having, you can say, drones, MQ-9B, Reaper or Predator drones are there. All these are powered by your jet engines. Okay. So not necessary. So all three statements are wrong. 43 also to certain extent you can classify it as basic. Anodes, cathodes, to certain extent. This you will read with respect to your science and tech. But I have kept it because most of you might not go through these things generally. But graphite is generally used as an anode, not a cathode. You can eliminate it. But if you look at the generally used cathodes, nickel will be there, cobalt will be there to certain extent, lithium will be there, or aluminum will be there. Okay. So it is going to be not a single aspect, it is going to be a combination of these things. Okay. Generally we call it as NMC complex. So nickel, lithium, nickel, cobalt and magnesium is there. Magnesium is going to be there. Otherwise, aluminum also can be there. Okay. The next 48th, this is regarding monoclonal antibodies. Generally, whenever you are reading with respect to your biotechnology, you will also read about vaccines, or to a certain extent, you will also understand the various immune system responses. So they are man-made proteins. They stimulate immunological function due to their ability to bind to specific antigens. Then they are used to treat, let's say, viral infections like Nipah, Ebola, or COVID-19. All these are to a certain extent. These monoclonal antibodies, they were in use a lot during your COVID. Okay. So even Donald Trump, when he got, can say, COVID during his first term, he took these monoclonal antibodies. Again, if you look at 50th, again, I would say this is not a straightforward question, but it is an application of your basic concept. So waste management is a general topic that you are going to read, whether it is water or whether it is solid waste or whether it is plastic waste, you are going to read about these things. So activated carbon is basically one aspect that you can use to manage your waste. So activated carbon is a good and attractive tool to remove pollutants. Yes, again, statement 1, whether it is correct or not, it is not necessary for us. Statement 2 and 3, we have to look. Activated carbon exhibits a large surface area and a strong potential for absorbing heavy metals. Yes, large surface area is going to, can say, help you with respect to getting attached to with respect to, can say, various ions. All these pollutants, they are going to be in the form of ions. Okay. Activated carbon can be easily synthesized from environmental waste with high carbon content. Generally, we can use coal, or generally we can use organic matter. So by burning these things, we can create this activated carbon. Basic understanding. Again, polity, straightforward question. An ordinance can amend any central act. Yes, ordinance can amend any central act. State ordinance can amend any state act. An ordinance can abridge a fundamental right. Can a law abridge a fundamental right? No. Article 13 states any law that is, you can say, violating your fundamental rights can be declared null and void. Okay. So you can remove the second statement. An ordinance can come into effect from a back date. Yes. Retrospective implementation of your ordinance. Yes. Okay. So 1 and 3, straightforward basic question. Again, this is also there with respect to your, you can say, Lakshmikant itself. State reorganization. I think this is going to be there with respect to your first 2-3 chapters itself. So he is asking you, you can say, which of the following are correct. Arunachal Pradesh, the capital is named after a fort. This one probably you might face difficulty. The first statement, Arunachal Pradesh, the name is, you can say, derived from your fort and 2 national parks. But 2 and 3 are very straightforward. These are there with respect to static. Okay. Nagaland, to a certain extent, has been formed through state reorganization, not through a constitutional amendment, for which we need constitutional amendments. For incorporating new territory, we need constitutional. Sikkim, Goa, Pondicherry, these are the things that we have incorporated as new, say, territories of India. For those, you will see the constitutional amendments. But for the rest of the actual territory of India, there is no need for constitutional amendment for reorganizing. Okay. This is done through your simple majority itself. And Tripura, initially a Part C state, yes, later on it became your state. Okay. Again, 53, very straightforward question. Which of the following are mentioned in the Constitution? State Council, yes, it is mentioned. National Security Council is not mentioned. Zonal councils, these are created by an act of the Parliament. Your State Reorganization Act 19. So straightforward questions. The next 54, the Constitution of India explicitly mentions that in certain spheres, governor of a state acts in his or her own discretion. So yes, President does not have this provision. Okay, President, very few cases only he has discretion, especially regarding appointment of Prime Minister and Vice. But with respect to governor, the Constitution is specifically mentioning which areas he has discretion. Whether it is certification of bills or whether it is, you can say, recommendation of imposition of your president's rule, governor is having the discretion, additional discretion compared to your president. President of India can reserve a bill on his own. Generally, no. Governor will reserve the bill for the president's assent. So you can remove the second statement. Basic question. 55, separation of judiciary from the executive. Where is it mentioned? Directive principles, your Article 50. Valuing and preserving the rich heritage of composite culture, fundamental duties is mentioned. Prohibition of employment below the age of 14 years, fundamental rights. Okay. fight against exploitation there. Okay, straightforward question. So next, with reference to the Constitution of India regarding scheduled areas under fifth schedule to certain extent, governor will have certain influence, but administration is still under your state government itself. Okay. The president can give certain directions with respect to, you can say, what type of, you can say, welfare measures we are taking, that can be there. State government loses its executive power in such areas and a local body assumes total administration wrong. Okay. So this happens in certain areas regarding your sixth schedule, okay, where you can say tribal councils to certain extent. Then union government can take over the total administration of such areas under certain circumstances on the recommendations of the governor, not necessarily. Okay. So either we are going to impose, say, if proper protection of scheduled tribes is not happening, we can impose the state rule or president's rule. We cannot take over those areas specifically. It has to be either the entire state or it has to be, you can say, with respect. There is no position of president's rule. Clear? Straightforward question only. Then this one, consider the following subjects under the Constitution. List 1, Union List, 7th schedule, extent of the executive power of the state, conditions of the governor's office. Which of the following requires, you can say, your special majority and ratification by half of the states for changing this, for amendment. So this is asking about amendment procedure. So Lakshmikant, they will give you three basic lists. One is regarding simple majority, one is regarding your special majority, one is regarding special majority plus, you can say, assent of your states. Straightforward question only, not difficult. Next, regarding governor. Governor is not answerable to any court for the exercise and performance of his powers and duties in our house or office. Generally, we read about immunity. Whatever official actions that governor and president take, they are immune from their actions. The first statement you can see, straightforward only. Second one, no criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against the governor during his or her term. Yes, this is also related to immunity only. Then, members of a state legislature are not liable to any proceedings in any court with respect to, again, this is regarding your privileges. Straightforward. If you are not given this freedom of speech and expression on the floor of the house, then there is no, you can say proper representation with respect to your parliament or with respect to your state legislature. So third statement is also correct. So straightforward question. Then this is the PYQ, the repeat of your PYQ. So Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, they have asked previously, again they have asked. So this is not related to your production of natural gas or oil, but it is also it is regulating your refining process, it is regulating your marketing aspects. So 2 and 3 are correct, 1 and 2 are wrong. PYQ, straightforward PYQ, repetition of your PYQ. The next 61, this is basic application of your formula. So he is asking you regarding revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, primary deficit. Okay. So he is given you certain data. Revenue deficit, what it is? Difference between your revenue receipts and your revenue expenditure. So straightforward. Fiscal deficit is the overall deficit, how much you can say revenues you are getting and how much you can say to certain extent expenditure is there. Primary deficit is revenue deficit, fiscal deficit minus your interest payments. Straightforward application of your, you can say, basics. This one also you will read with respect to your, you can say, IR, INSTC, International North-South Trade Corridor. So this is one of the ways through which India is looking at, you can say, connectivity to Central Asia and Europe via Moscow. Okay. So straightforward question only. And this one also to certain extent you will touch upon these things because we are having a lot of, we can say right now, ambitions regarding ethanol. So to certain extent you will understand Brazil. Moreover, whenever you are reading about sugar industry also to certain extent you will understand Brazil is the largest producer of your sugar. Okay. So Brazil and America, these are the, can say, producers of ethanol. So statement 1, because USA is producing more right now compared to Brazil. So that is why your statement 1 is wrong. Unlike United States where corn is a principal feedstock, sugarcane is the principal feedstock when it comes to ethanol in Brazil. Again, basic application of your concepts itself. Corn is a basic product or you can say agricultural produce when it comes to USA. Most of it is used for cattle. But with respect to sugar, so sugarcane is the major, you can say, producer. Brazil is the largest producer of your sugarcane and exporter as well. Okay. So statement 2 is correct, statement 1 is wrong. Next 65, again application only, same concept. Only thing is he has given you one statement extra here. This question is very straightforward, but this question he tried to confuse you by giving this 10,000 crores. The non-debt creating capital receipts, it does not matter. Your fiscal deficit or gross primary deficit is basically with respect to your fiscal deficit minus your interest payment. Whatever is the interest payments they have given, interest payments is 1500 crores. And the overall, you can say fiscal deficit stands at 50,000 crores, application of your basic formula. But majority of the students have done this wrong. Super. Okay. So next, this is also basic question, because you can eliminate this by removing one statement. This is talking about what are the various recommendations of your 15th Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission has recommended 41% when it comes to devolution with respect to the states. This is your vertical devolution. Okay. So statement 2, if you look at the case, is given you 45%, you can remove it. Otherwise, if you look at the options are having all 3 statements. Okay. If that is not the case, then we should have worried about, okay, say, and everything, whether it is ready or not, it's a correct or not. But you have to also look at the options. Whenever you are reading the question, first look at the options. Options will let you know whether you have to eliminate one question, one statement, or whether you have to look at each statement whether it is correct or not. Okay. Then again, 67th, any basic economy book will have financial institutions, global financial institutions. We'll read about World Bank, we'll read about IMF. Okay, you will read about Asian Development Bank is there, multiple other initiatives are there, New Development Bank. So multiple things are there, but at least this is the one of the important components of your World Bank. World Bank, you will have, you can say, 5 entities. Out of this, IBRD is one. Okay. Moreover, if you look at the statements as well, it provides loans and guarantees to middle income countries. Yes, IBRD was established after your World War II to reconstruct Europe. So middle income countries, yes, it works single-handedly to help developing countries reduce poverty. Single-handedly you can remove. That is an extreme statement. There are other institutions as well which are, you can say, helping to fight poverty. It is established to help Europe rebuild after World War II. Basic objective. Okay. So straightforward, any basic book will have this thing. Next, this is regarding RTGS and NEFT. This is regarding your, you can say, banking, you can say, initiatives. So these are your payment systems. So RTGS real time is available throughout the day. But NEFT, there are certain, this is processed in batches. So half an hour batches, they can say club the, you can say, whatever transactions, and they will process those. So in RTGS, the settlement time is instantaneous, while in the case of NEFT, it takes some time to settle the payments. First statement is correct, straightforward. Then in RTGS, customer is charged for inward transactions. That means if I am receiving money from someone, I am being charged certain fee. Is it true? No. Outward transactions, if you are doing RTGS, yes, 25 rupees or 50 rupees, depending on the amount of money that you are sending, they will be charged, but there is no charge for inward transaction. Any money incoming, it will not be charged. Then third one, operating hours for RTGS are restricted on certain days, while it is not true for. So it is reverse. RTGS is available 24/7, 365 days, but NEFT is not available throughout the day. Okay. Again, any basic book will have this. The next, regarding this statement, tradition has become my religion. Some books will have these things, might not. Okay. But still, to a certain extent, you will read these things. So whenever you are reading about civil disobedience movement, you will read these things. Okay. Then this is the straightforward basic question, directly picked up from your NCERT. Whether the new NCERT or the old NCERT, both will have this. Okay. Next, 74th. This is also straightforward question, Pune Pact. So communal award was, you can say, given after your second roundtable conference. Gandhiji went on past, and to an extent, Ambedkar was convinced that we will not have separate electorate for, you can say, depressed classes, but we will have certain reserved seats. Okay, that was the conclusion that they have reached. So this is Pune Pact, straightforward. Then this is also there with respect to spectrum. So what are the various crops that have been introduced by Portuguese regarding agriculture? So pineapple, papaya, guava, all these are introduced by your Portuguese only. This one, to certain extent, some countries you will understand. Okay. So which country is having the, you can say, highest number of time zones? Any idea? France. France is the one which is having highest number of time zones, because France has many territories, island territories. It has Pacific island territories, Indian Ocean island territories. France is having the largest. Okay. Then comes your Russia. Russia is having 11. So if the question is regarding those facts, generally everyone will know, but the question is asking you very specific things. which of the countries is having more than 4 time zones? So this question we cannot call it as a very basic question, because it depends on to a certain extent what type of understanding you have. Depending on the size of the country, at least you can answer this thing. Okay. UK you can remove. Okay, Denmark you can remove to a certain extent probably. New Zealand, Australia, Brazil probably will have. Sorry, UK will be there because UK also has territories. Again, 77. This is also straightforward only. This is regarding your international date line. He has given 2 territories that are on the other side. You can say date line. So to read, Anadir is in Siberia, Nome in Alaska, or few kilometers from each other. But when people are waking up and getting set for breakfast in the cities, with different days. So he is setting up the context for your international date line. Basic question. When it is Monday in Anadir, it is Tuesday in Nome. It is going to be Sunday because USA is behind. Okay. So it is going to be Sunday. So first statement is correct, second statement is wrong. Straightforward question. Okay. Any book will have these things. Then again, basic aspects itself. Some rare earth elements are used in manufacturing of flat television screens and computer monitors. The rare earth elements are your, to a certain extent, 17 elements that are there under your D category in your periodic table. Okay. So yes, some rare earth elements have phosphorant properties. Even if you don't know to a large extent, if there is possibility of some statements are starting with respect to some, you can go with them as correct. Because UPSC has to prove them wrong. Proving them wrong is going to be very difficult. Okay. Even if there is one research paper regarding these things, then UPSC will be wrong. So that is why this is all inclusive statement. Some, yes. Then again, this one, President of India. The exercise of this power, this is regarding your pardoning power, Article 72. The exercise of this power by the president can be subjected to limited judicial review. Yes, it is subjected to limited judicial review right now because delays, Supreme Court is commuting the death sentences. Okay. Then, president can exercise this power without the advice of the central government. No, president has to exercise this power based on the recommendations of the executive itself. So, straightforward question. Then, this is also straightforward polity only. On the dissolution of the House, Speaker shall not vacate his office until immediately before the first meeting of the House. Yes. Generally, whenever you are, this is there, this statement itself is there in your Lakshmikant. Speaker will continue in his office till the next Lok Sabha gets formed. According to the provision of the Constitution, a member of the House of People, on being elected as a Speaker, shall resign from his political party immediately. No, this is not the, you can say, norm with respect to India. This is followed in British, you can say, Britain. But in India, we write it as a way forward. Because right now speaker has become lotly, you can say majority of the time politically you can say not neutral. So we generally write it as a way forward that speaker can be at least he can resign from this political party so that we can ensure neutrality. Then Speaker of the House of the People may be removed from his or office by resolution of the House. Resolution of the people passed by majority of the terms. This a straightforward statement itself. 88th, if any question arises regarding member of the House, this is regarding your disqualification under anti-defection law, 10th schedule. So president's decision, whose decision, we can speaker. So straightforward. There is no mention of the word political party in the Constitution of India. So yes, you might get confused here, but understand this. If I have to incorporate or implement disqualification, do I need to describe political party or not? Initially it was not there, but with the introduction of your 10th schedule, we had to introduce this basic definition. Yeah, but he's asking you no mention of the word, no. But generally this is not there with respect to your constitution. It is there with respect to your law, RPA, Representation of People's Act. It will be there regarding Election Commission. But straightforwardly in the constitution, previously it was not there, but because of the anti-defection law, they have incorporated this. Okay. Again, straightforward only to a certain extent, but only confusing thing will be second statement, whether you have to go with it or not. Next, 89th, state governments have no power for making rules for grant of concessions in respect of extraction of minor minerals. So you will understand central government is having control over major minerals, state governments are having control over minor minerals. Who is going to declare what are minor minerals? Again, central government will declare what are minor minerals. Okay. So to a large extent, this is your Minerals and Mines Development and Regulation Act, MDR Act. So regular questions are there with respect to MMDR Act. 2024 also we have seen a question, 2023 also we have seen a question regarding MMDR. Okay. In India, central government has the power to notify minor minerals. Yes. Okay. So straightforward question. The next is regarding your panchayats. Again, basic straightforward question. Panchayats at the intermediate level exist in all states. No. Any state which has less than 20 lakh population, your intermediate stage can be removed. So Sikkim does not have an intermediate stage. To be eligible, you can say for intermediate, you can say level, a person should attain the age of 30 years. No, it is 21 years. It is common across the panchayats. Then Chief Minister of a state constitutes a commission. So he is talking about the Finance Commission, State Finance Commission. It is not appointed by Chief Minister, it is appointed by the governor. Basic question. 92. This is regarding BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC also you will be ready with respect to your IR. Okay. So BIMSTEC is formed because of your Bangkok Declaration or Dhaka Declaration. Moreover, the year is 1997. But don't worry about the year. Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand. Nepal is not a founding member. Only 4 members are the founding members. Nepal and Bhutan were added on later. Okay. In BIMSTEC, the subsector of tourism is being led by India. Generally, look at the BIMSTEC. The idea is sectors are divided across countries. Each country will have, we can say, a prominent role when it comes to promoting these sectors. So think of the India. If India is promoting BIMSTEC, India will want to keep security. Here we don't want tourism. India is the biggest country. India is the largest country with respect to your Bay of Bengal. So India will try to keep security. Okay, security and you can say blue economy aspects rather than your you can say tourism. So you can remove that. Then this is also your basic only. Okay, this is regarding your Gagan. Okay. So this is mostly generally used by your airplanes for landing purposes. So autopilot and various other things will be, you can say, much more safer by using this. It is designed to promote, you can say, provide additional accuracy and integrity. Yes. It will allow more uniform and high quality air traffic management. Yes. It will provide benefits only in aviation. That is where, again, only in aviation. That is where you can remove that. But Gagan you will read with respect to your science center. Okay. So next, 98th. This is Lokpal. So whenever you are reading Lokpal, you will read these things. Lokpal applies to public servants of India, but not. This can be a, let's say, question mark for you. Okay. Whether it is applicable outside India or not. But there are, you can say, Indian public servants working outside India, especially your foreign service people. If they are committing corruption, who is going to be, you can say, taking care of this. Moreover, your embassies outside India, they are considered as territory of India. Okay. So first statement is correct. Chairman should be a chief justice, not necessarily. Chairman can be a chief justice, whether retired or acting, or to a certain extent a judge of the Supreme Court is possible. So second statement you can remove. Third statement, yes, it is correct. Fourth statement, Lokpal cannot inquire into allegations of corruption against sitting Prime Minister. No, he can inquire into allegations of, but only in specific. So we have dropped down the instances in which Lokpal can investigate the Prime Minister. So straightforward questions only. So what is the takeaway here? We have covered the 100 questions. Out of this, close to 58 questions are straightforward basics. Okay. On top of this, once you understand what type of information UPSC is trying to twist, then you will understand to a certain extent eliminations can be much better. Even if you are doing respect to guessing, even if 3 questions are correct, 7 questions are wrong, you will be in a net positive. So don't worry that, you can say, don't have this notion that I am going to answer only 60 questions, 65 questions and I will clear prelims. That happens with respect to very rare people. Okay. So even if you prepare thoroughly, you will make certain mistakes with respect to these basic questions. That is why your target has to be maintain at least 90% accuracy. That is what is going to deliver your, you can say, prelims with respect to your preparation. Clear? So our objective with respect to this test series is also that only. Make sure that you are revising your basics thoroughly. Okay. So we are trying to incorporate 3 phases of revision. The first revision takes 17 weeks, second revision 5 weeks, then later on you will get 3 weeks. So you will be able to be ready with respect to your basic concepts. Clear? Any concerns with respect to your prelims preparation? Yeah, if you have any doubts, you can ask. CSAT? CSAT, no. We'll start later. CSAT tests will start later. Probably January onwards will start. For CSAT, if you have your classes on top of it, you are preparing these things. Then if you also start CSAT, then there is no time for you. No. Make sure you are not wasting your time. Once you go back to your home, make sure you pick up your NCRTs, read your basic books. Prelims is a volume study. You should know basic things about multiple aspects. It is not same as mains. Mains you don't need so much, you can say, information regarding multiple aspects. But with respect to prelims, you need, it will help you. Moreover, whatever knowledge you have gained throughout your life will also come into use when it comes to prelims. Okay. Common sense is nothing but whatever knowledge that you have gained throughout your life. Okay. That is also going to be used for prelims. Any other questions? Okay. So please understand, the emphasis is going to be on the basics. Don't get bogged down by other, you can say, aspects that are running around in your market. So whether it is your elimination techniques or whether it is with respect to, you can say, specific materials, this material is good, that material is good. Okay. So make sure your sources are simple. Don't freeze your sources. Your job is to revise these sources. Okay. Whatever you are reading, make sure that you are reading it 2-3 times. It is not about reading 2-3 books. It is about reading same book for 2-3 times. Okay. This is what is going to deliver your prelims. Clear? Any other questions? Okay, we'll stop.